Hello and welcome to Extra Time with me, Gary James. This is an Extra Time special on Big Centre TV, and joining us today, I say hello to Rick Coleman. Rick, welcome.
Gary.
Rick, we're here at Edgbaston Cricket Ground in Birmingham, obviously. Former teacher, former deputy headmaster at Baverstock School in Maypole, and a massive cricket fan, and probably sports fan as well. Tell us a little bit about how you started becoming a tour guide here.
I'd retired from teaching after something like 40 years in education, wanted to do something different. And I happened to be watching some cricket one day when a guy called Alan Oakman, who the older viewers might remember, played for Sussex and for England, was taking a group of school children around, saw me and he said, "Rick, you used to be a teacher, come and help me with this lot." And it's built up from there.
How many years ago was that?
That's probably a good 10 years ago now. Yeah.
So you've probably got a number of tours under your belt.
I'd hesitate to count how many, but it has built up over that 10 years from just the odd school party to fairly regular groups from cricket societies, women's institutes, you name them, we've taken them around Edgbaston.
Well, look, you're going to be very kind and show us around and take us on the tour. Of
course.
That cricket fans or any visitors to Edgbaston might want to have a look at. It's an interesting place, I know, so even non-cricket fans will have a look around. Let's start off with the trophy that we've got here behind us. Tell us about the trophy.
Well, it's a bit special because Warwickshire won this trophy here at Edgbaston, the T20 NatWest Blast Trophy. Won here this at Edgbaston last year in front of 25,000 people. Semi-finals day, finals day here at Edgbaston, and we've got that day again later this year, so hopefully we may repeat it.
Okay, well that started the tour off. Lead the way. So Rick, here we are in the sanctum of the stadium. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, what a lot of people don't realise, I think, is that cricket is a very ancient sport. We have records of cricket being played in the county of Warwickshire right way back in the 18th century. Different forms of cricket. I believe there were teams attached to the city centre pubs. At the same time, there were teams played out in the wilds of Warwickshire near a place called Wellerbourne, now known as Wellesbourne. And it was a guy called William Ansell, a school teacher, who saw these two factions, dare I say, playing cricket in the county of Warwickshire, got the two groups together at a hotel in Leamington Spa, and in 1882 formed Warwickshire County Cricket Club. And although our first ground was near Warwick Racecourse, I believe, we moved here a few years later and have been here at Edgbaston ever since.
Okay, and the stadium now, and obviously they've spent a lot of money on the stadium over the last few years. It's about the new stand. Well,
those of you who remember Edgbaston of a few years ago may remember the little old pavilion with its balcony. Had been here since we first came to Edgbaston, and to keep international status, something had to be done, and that was demolished, and we have this wonderful new £32 million structure, which has brought us way into the 21st century and probably as good as anything in the world at the moment.
And as we go around, any interesting anecdotes, any stories about the place, any ghosts anywhere?
I'm sure there are ghosts, but the ground has got so much history. I mean, I can remember being here when a certain gentleman called Brian Lara smacked the penultimate ball of the day through the covers to put his score up to 501, a world record for first-class cricket at the time, and still is. I doubt if that will ever be broken. And it was strange. It was a game against Durham petering out into a nothing draw. But when people heard that Brian Lara was on 420, 450, 480, the ground started to fill up as people came to hopefully see this world record.
And here we are in the
ground. Indeed. Okay. They do say, incidentally, that the wicket-keeper dropped Brian on something like 18 or 20, picked the ball up, threw it to first slip and said, "I bet he goes on to get 50 now." He went on to get 501. Is that the most expensive dropped catch in the history of cricket?
Fascinating stuff. And let's move on. Let's continue your great tour. And where do we go next?
Well, I think we get a wonderful view of the stadium and, dare I say, of the city centre from the Skyline Terrace. So I think if we make our way to the Skyline Terrace, we'll have a look from there.
We'll follow you.
Well, it's very naturally called the Skyline Terrace, reasons for which I think are pretty obvious. But you have a tremendous view of the city centre here. You look over there, you can see just the top of the Rotunda, the Cube, the Post Office Tower, and a great view around the suburbs as well, through Balsall Heath, Moseley and Edgbaston behind us. And the terrace itself, a lovely warm summer's day, and let's hope we get plenty of those this year. It really is a picnic area. The bar's open, obviously. People will be there eating, drinking and enjoying cricket, particularly for the 2020 and the 50 over game, which draw the crowds in.
And is this VIP seating or anyone?
No, not necessarily. It is for Skyline Terrace members, so you do have to be a member to come up for one of the bigger games, but it's not full, and tickets can be purchased for it by others as well at certain times.
And looking up at the floodlights, there's something special about the floodlights, isn't there?
Yes, wherever you are in the world, you look at those floodlights, you know you're at Edgbaston because it's in the shape of a small letter E.
Brilliant. And it is an absolutely incredible view. I think we've picked one of the best days to come and have a look, actually.
I think we have. And this is the press lounge, where ladies and gentlemen from the press will come in the morning, have their coffee and toast, and then go into their area to watch the game and do their report on it before having their lunch here and their tea here later. But you get a tremendous view from here as well of another part of Birmingham that can be seen. Cannon Hill Park, that wonderful greenery. When I take groups from other parts of the country, Liverpool, Manchester, cricket societies come around Edgbaston, they can't quite believe that we're a couple of miles from the centre of the second biggest city in the country to see so much greenery as it is behind us with Midlands Arts Centre as well.
This is the other side of the press lounge, so it feels like we've just finished the game. So tell us about the table and the tables and the chairs around us.
Well, you might well be the home captain, and I may be the cricket manager, and the gentlemen and ladies of the press will sit down there and ask us questions about why we decided to bowl first, why we decided to not bring our spinner on until too late in the afternoon, because the gentlemen and ladies of the press always know far better than the professional cricketers.
And that all happens in this room?
In this room.
Brilliant. So, where to next?
We'll go into where they actually do the reporting of the game, because it wouldn't be much good doing it from here because they can't see the pitch, of course. They'll have their laptops in front of them and giving every wicket that falls, every run that's scored, and as you can see, a magnificent view of the ground, which of course they need. And it's a very big press area. It holds 139 members. But I have to say, for a normal county championship game, we maybe get 2, 3 at the most, perhaps 6, depending on the importance of the game. But if it's a big international game, say the Ashes this summer, or 2 years ago when the ICC Trophy final was held here between England and India, the place was actually full with 139 members of the press reporting on the game. I have to say, there's another little fact that that game was the most watched sporting event on television of any game, any sporting occasion from this country. I believe 1.6 billion people throughout the world watched the final of the ICC Trophy, England v India. And perhaps the most famous stand here at Edgbaston at the moment is the Eric Hollis stand. Some of the older viewers will certainly remember Eric Hollis, a stalwart bowler for Warwickshire all of his career, absolutely incredible bowler. 2,300 wickets, first-class wickets he took. Not much of a batsman was poor old Eric. He in fact took more wickets in his career than he scored runs, which is quite amazing. Has a big claim to fame. Some of us again remembered the great Don Bradman. Hurts me to say it, but probably the greatest batsman the world's ever seen. Hurts me because he was Australian, of course. Went for his final test innings at the Oval, and incredibly he only wanted to score 4 runs, and his average in first-class cricket, in test cricket, would be 100. And he went out to bat at the Oval, 30,000+ people there, standing ovation, and Eric Hollis was the bowler. In the first ball, Don Bradman played back down the wicket, no problem at all. The crowd waiting. An imperious 4 through the covers, 2 twos, 4 singles, what would it be? Hollis came into bowl, the wrong un, the googly, threw bat and pad, and Don Bradman was bowled for naught. And look in Wisden, Don Bradman's average is 99.94. 4 runs and he would have averaged 100 in test match cricket, which would have been incredible. And yes, time to move on. We're going down 1 floor to see the hub of the action on match days, where it all happens. Yes, this is one of 4 luxury executive boxes on this side of the ground, and they are used for big occasions. Certainly with the Ashes Test match coming up this year, all of them will be full, certainly for the first 4 days, with people that can afford it. They are mainly, I have to say, taken by corporate organisations, firms, businesses. Individuals would find it very expensive to sit in here. But it's rather nice because it does mean that while the rest of us, if it starts to rain or gets very cold, are shivering somewhere under the stands or fighting our way through to a bar, the members here can just come in, sit back, turn on the television for the racing from Cheltenham or whatever else is going, and keep warm and fed and watered.
So you said you were bringing us into the heart of where everything happens off the pitch. So the control room, tell us, Rick.
Well, on a big occasion, we have plenty of those here at Edgbaston now. I always say this is the most important room in the stadium, the control room. And the word control, exactly what it is, everything is controlled from here. All the stewarding from outside, the St John's ambulance from outside, even the floodlights are switched on and off from here on the say-so of the umpires. Yes, very, very important. When there's a big game here, there are, I think, somebody might correct me, some up to 60 CCTV cameras which are going around all the time, making sure those of us sitting here watching the cricket are safe, comfortable and not in any sort of trouble. We don't get trouble at cricket grounds, very, very little at Edgbaston, but it has to be said occasionally mid-afternoon if some have been sitting in the ground since 10:30, loving their lagers and their beers and their wines, they perhaps get a bit boisterous. Now if that happens, and they're picked up on one of these 2 monitors yeah. Which can be split up into, I believe it's 12, it might even be 20 smaller screens where they can see everywhere. They can in fact hone in with these wonderful devices on, should I say, the Eric Hollis stand, block 23, row 14, seat 81, and see what flavour crisps you're eating. They can get that close in so that they can then ask a steward to ask whoever it is to calm down and enjoy the cricket.
Right. And for the scoreboard, I understand there's a room sort of identical to this, isn't the next door? Where
not as big as this, but yes, just along there. The old scorers used to sit actually in the score box and used to there with their pens and pencils and paper and do it. Now it's all done digitally and it is all organised from a room just along the corridor there. That is where the 2 scorers, one from each side, with the scoreboard operator, will be doing all of that.
Okay. And I'm walking down the corridor here. Can we go and have a look at one of the executive boxes?
Why not? That's a good idea.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Let's go and do that.
Yes, one of the television studios where the pundits and commentators will sit during a match, giving their views of the game, and again giving their ball-by-ball commentary. Yes, in one of the seats there, no doubt, is Nasser Hussain, Nick Knight, Ian Botham, all of the guys who are giving their expertise. And of course behind them will be somebody making sure they're up to date with the score and any records that are likely to be broken, and we'll be giving that information down to the commentators so that they can give us that information back to us at home watching. From here then we'll wander along the corridor through to one of the very fine hospitality rooms that Edgbaston now holds. This one is called the Warwickshire Suite. Yes, so here we are in the Warwickshire Suite, dedicated to various icons of Warwickshire County Cricket Club. It had initially 100 members when the stand opened. The founder members for this particular stand, and they had I believe it was a 6-year membership because the club was very anxious to get members in as soon as possible and presumably to get an income as soon as possible as well. From here I think it's worth going to see the banqueting suite, which is a massive part of the new Edgbaston stand, before then perhaps going to have a look at the inner sanctum, that is the dressing rooms. Yes, so here we are in one of the changing rooms, and how different it is from the changing rooms before this was redeveloped. This is probably twice the size of the area that both teams had to get changed in before. And what players like about this, it's got so much space. They have their own lockers, and it's huge with their showers and their loos. But of course, this is just for them to change, for them to watch the game, and for them to find the time to go out to bat and to field. We'd have to go through to the other room.
So they don't have a tunnel like in football?
They don't have a tunnel like football, no.
I'm intrigued now. Okay, so Rick, this is where the players watch the game from?
Yep.
So where do they walk out? Oh, I see, through the doors there.
Absolutely, yes. We saw where they got changed, but of course they can't see the game from there, and this is where they'll sit and watch. Or if it's a lovely sunny day, of course, there are chairs outside, and they're generally as near as they can be behind the arm, so they can watch what the ball is doing and make their own judgments as for decisions they make when they go out to bat. So when New Zealand are here for a one-day international, when the Australians are here for an Ashes test, this is where they will be before going down the stairs and out to the wicket.
It's a bit more civilised than on a football pitch, isn't it, when they're sat in the dugout?
Yeah, just a little bit, yes indeed.
Fabulous, fabulous. So Rick, this is coming to the end of the tour now, really, I suppose, of the stadium. This is where the players watch the game from, is it? And when they walk out onto the pitch? It
is, and we're actually in the away section, so later in the year, this is where New Zealand will be for the one-day international we've got against them. It's where the Australian team will be for the Ashes test match that we have here, and it is from here they will be watching the game, be perfectly behind the arm, so they've got a good view of what's going on, and they'll walk through those doors there, down the steps, and it's a long, long walk out into the middle, particularly when there's 25,000 people watching you. I have to say, if you're out first or second ball, it's a much longer walk all the way back again, back up the stairs into here.
It's been fabulous. Rick, thank you. It's been a great tour.
Pleasure.
Great stadium here. And I think we'll look forward to more Rick's tours. Thank you very much, Rick. Cheers.
My pleasure.
Well, Gary, that looked fantastic. I've got to say, Edgbaston, for any cricket fan now in the country, seems like one of the top stadiums that you must visit.
It is. It's great. And Rick there, the tour guide, which is why I wanted to do it, his knowledge and the way he tells some of those stories is incredible. It wasn't the best of days when we were there, to be honest. It was a little bit windy, and we did have a few drops of rain.
That's cricket, isn't it?
Cricket, yeah. There we go. And actually, it would have been fabulous all up until that day we recorded that. But Rick was great, and just to go round and look behind the scenes, which I think with an extra time we try and do, don't we? Like some of the guests we have on, you know, try and get those people that are behind the scenes as well as those that are already in the limelight.
They're equally as important, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they make everything happen.
Yeah, but it opened my eyes, because I've been to, like you have probably, Edgbaston quite a few times, but never really, other than going into the reception and going out onto a seat, I've never really seen all behind the scenes. And there's still, we'll probably have to go back and do a bit more, because there's still loads more to see there. Like their archive and their museum is a show on its own.
Is that something they sort of place a great emphasis on, the importance of the history there?
They do, very much so, because it has got a great history, and Rick sort of mentioned some of it there, and it has got a great history, and I don't know if you have, but I've been round the museum that they have, and it's incredible, and it's interactive as well.
Oh, right, 21st century.
It's right, yeah. So we will be going back and probably doing with Rick again, just another programme, just about that on its own. But it was seeing the new and the old, because you've got the new part of the stadium, which was great. And for us who work in this wonderful world of media, the press box that we saw there, you know, you go to some of the football grounds.
A buffet.
You get the buffet. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Half a sausage roll and a mug of tea. But the press box, that was the thing that stood out for me, because we go to football grounds and some of the press boxes at football grounds, you know, you get 2 man and a dog, and that's about it. But there, it's massive.
I think that's interesting that, you know, having seen that it is so big. I think it's clear from that to sort of derive that Edgbaston are fully aware that their relations with the media are sort of crucial to how the stadium fares almost, because they need bums on seats, don't they? And the media will give them the advertising that they need.
And also that side, because the world of the international press come along, like when they have the Ashes there or any big international games. It's not just, we have to remember, it's not just the local press. It's the national press and the international press that come. And apart from the press area we saw there, there's also separate press boxes, the likes of BBC Radio 4 have, and local BBC Radio have, and a few others as well. That's separate again. So the amount of space they give to press was incredible. And again, for the match day hospitality, the boxes are incredible. Yeah. And the quality of the food, I know from my own experience, is very good.
Yes.
But it was nice to see, there what goes on in a box and how the boxes are laid out. And of course, the function rooms that they've got there. Fortunately, they were in the middle of changing when we filmed. But the main room there, I think it seats something like 600 people, and organised not just for cricket people, obviously companies during the week use the facilities for conferences, and then you've got the parties and the banquets.
And obviously, all these sort of top quality facilities will help lend themselves to the fact that Edgbaston and Warwickshire, can lure the top players in the world there, because they can show off this stadium to the likes of Brendan McCullum, who's coming over, and he'll think, wow, I want to play here.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And the only slight downside was when we filmed, the team were actually practising. Yeah. And the dressing room was being used. So
didn't fancy putting your pads on.
Oh, I did. Yeah. But it was just great to see. Rick was a great tour guide, and hopefully over extra time and over or during extra time and over the coming weeks and months, we'll do more tours. Certainly with Rick at Birmingham City Football Ground at St Andrews, and then hopefully with some of our other local clubs as well, just to give the viewer an insight to what goes on behind.
Yeah.
So for now, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. More to come. We'll see you soon on Extra Time.